Hello and welcome to Croys for the away round of the Scottish Legends Championship. We've got 1.2 miles of tight, twisty, technical tarmac for these legends to work their way around. John Patterson won all 3 races in the first round. Can he continue his winning ways? Well, let's find out. Richard, over to you.
Thanks, Anthony. So John Patterson on the front with Steve McGill, Ryan McLeish and David Hunter next from John Bushby and Gerard McCosh, Colin McNeil and Ivor Greenwood, then Neville Anderson and Scott Hines on row 5, Michael Paxton and Jordan Hodgson. Front row, we've got the Irish guest drivers taking part. Number 11, Paul O'Brien. 22, Gary Humphries. 29, Ian Conroy. 76 is Gordon Brown. We're away. Pat already starting to go through the grid that we showed you, incidentally, just the Scottish drivers. But we'll talk about the Irish lads as well as we go through. 15, Steve McGill. Davey Hunter, second position in the championship there in the number 6. So the draw has separated Hunter and Patterson. Remember, the grids are drawn by ballot. How picturesque is that with the glistening sea, the little yacht there top left as well, and a lone spectator on the far side of the circuit watching these. The main spectator area, incidentally, is around via the Peel Corner and the Rocket Complex. And we'll see that as the cars continue on this first lap. Steve McGill being shadowed by David Hunter. This is where they come up into Rocket. Hard on the brakes they go. Still Patterson in blue, just going out of shot in second place. And although the Irish drivers won't take championship points away from Pat or Steve McGill or indeed David Hunter in the number 6 car, what they will do is get in the mix and give them a little bit of a race. Ian Conroy there, the silver and blue 29, one of our 4 Irish drivers. Colin McNeil in the red, number 4, and problems for Neville Anderson, who goes around. So Neville is out of that one. That is a massive shame. Ivor Greenwood's with us again. Ivor racing for Scottish Championship points this weekend. There's Gordon Brown in 76, one of the Irish drivers, but it's Paul O'Brien out front in the orange livery. You might remember Paul racing in the Scottish Championship very successfully a couple of seasons ago and doing so well in the Irish Championship, which is building numbers wise, and a great opportunity here this weekend for the Irish and Scottish to mix it up, share the grids. Super thing to do. The National Championship boys are here as well, and there's going to be an Internations Cup at the end of the day. John Patterson goes through, takes the lead away from Paul O'Brien. He could well lose it here, clatters the curb, kicks up some dust, and Paul O'Brien is going to take the battle back with him. I was going to say they can use a little bit of bump drafting to break away from the field, but there's no need, they've already done that. This is Peel Corner, and you can see the cars parked up watching down here. It's a massive complex, Anglesey. If you've not been, it's well worth going to, and particularly as a driver for this section they're on now, which is called the Corkscrew. I rave about it every time I commentate on this bit, but it's a fast downhill, sweep left, sweep right, then back onto the main straight. John Patterson looking to add another win to the 3 that he secured at Knock Hill, the opening round of the year on the 9th of April. Steve McGill took a podium at that one. Davey Hunter took a 3rd and a 2nd, had a non-finish in race number 1. So this is really the opportunity to try and get some points in the bag for Davey Hunter. Doesn't look like at the moment he's got the pace with John Patterson. It might be different in race 2 where we see the grid reversed, but we'll see how that plays out. As we say, a couple of drivers could potentially race in both championships, but Ivor Greenwood has elected to race in the Scottish. He enjoys his racing at Knock Hill, that suits him, as Paul O'Brien has not been left here by John Patterson. And I tell you what, we've got the prospect of the likes of Steve McGill, David Hunter, Paul O'Brien and John Patterson dicing it all out in the final, when presumably they'll all be back on. Look at the gap that these two have stretched over the rest of the field. Through Peel Corner we go again, and watch the drop here. Look at the view. John Patterson's going to be focusing on the racing, coming down the Corkscrew, swings around to the left, continues downhill, round to the right, downhill again, and then back round onto the main straight. This is the final corner on the lap, and Patterson goes across the line, takes the checkered flag, win number 4 of the season for him. David Hunter 2nd in the Scottish rankings, then Ivor Greenwood, Ryan McLeish, Steve McGill, Gerard McCosh, Jordan Hodgson, Michael Paxton, Colin McNeil and Scott Hines ahead of John Bushby and Neville Anderson.
We're all wondering if you could carry on your winning ways, especially with the Irish Championship coming to join us, but it didn't make it easy for you. You still got there in the end though.
Yeah, Paul's a quick guy. I used to race him back in Scotland, and he's every bit as quick as me and Davey, so it was never going to be easy, and getting away here is almost impossible with the big back straight.
I got a good start off the line, got a good jump on Gary there. Pat came with me 4 laps from the end, and I was struggling going around the fast right before the back straight. He got past me going up the hill.
It's a good way to start the weekend. I mean, like you're saying, not kill was a bit frustrating, I would say. I mean, plug lead a trivial thing that cost us a good haul of points, but to come here and first race is done and a good result, so I'm quite happy.
Second heat of the day about to get underway. We've got Ivor Greenwood this time starting at the front for the Scottish runners, the septuagenarian racer. I make a big deal out of that. Travels from Antrim to come and race with us in Scotland. Ian Conroy is the man who's on front row with him, the Irishman. Great to see the grids very well mixed up. Gordon Brown side by side with John Patterson. Immediately ahead of them is Ryan McLeish in the familiar to our Scottish fans white and red number 71. On board with John Patterson again. McLeish in front at the moment. This is the run out of turn 1 up towards the banking, which is a fairly, it's deemed a hairpin, but it's actually a fair old sweep around the hairpin. Gerald McCosh on the inside line, followed by Steve McGill, and making progress already is Paul O'Brien in the orange number 11 as we look forward to John Bushby. John Patterson coming out of Church Corner will think about looking up the inside line, which he does on Bushby. Said this was reverse grid. Davey Hunter a few cars in front at the moment in the silver grey 6 is going through on the inside line of Colin McNeil. Patterson following through and about to join the battle for the lead. Ivor Greenwood is there as well. Ian Conroy still leading at the moment with Ivor the driver. Again, super panoramic views here, so out of the Rocket Complex and down towards Peel Corner. There in car number 22, Gary Humphries, one of the Irish runners, dicing there with Scott Hines in 26, who we saw having an issue in race number 1. And here's the onboard view from David Hunter, looking at the back end of Ivor Greenwood's car coming down the corkscrew. There are several different configurations you can use here at Anglesey Circuit. This one, the coastal circuit as it's known, the most popular because it includes the corkscrew. There is the international circuit which has an additional loop as John Patterson goes around the outside line and coming down into the banking. This corner, you don't really get the feel of the banking here from the onboard, but it is, and it does offer some different lines. Off the circuit sadly goes Ian Conroy. He's going to be the first retirement of race number 2. We've got another 4 races to come after this, the final of day 1. This is day 1 of the 2-day meeting. Always worth having a double header to persuade the drivers to come and travel, which they've done in very good numbers here. Super field has been put together and through into lead. Ivor Greenwood passed by John Patterson, passes his teammate. Ivor Greenwood down to second. John Patterson has come through into the lead again, and Patterson must be getting close to Ben Mason's consecutive win record. I'm going to have to dig the stats out on that. Gerard McCosh busy chasing John Bushby in 16. Michael Paxton in car number 5 there as well. The Scottish rookies, instead, we've got a number of new drivers joining the championship this year in Scotland. They'll have to start off the back of the grid until they've completed 6 race finishes. David Hunter dicing hard here with Ivor Greenwood, Ivor in the 37 machine, and then Paul O'Brien, he's worked his way through the field as well, the Irish Championship leader, clear of his boys, but no doubt grateful to have some extra competition this weekend. Looking back from Greenwood's car and gets that position off David Hunter. Hunter being made to work extremely hard here, and Paul O'Brien in the mix as well. So Paul O'Brien currently in 4th position. Patterson's down the road. McLeish is chasing these boys as well. We look back from Ivor Greenwood again. Wide angle on the camera, just I think accentuating the gap a little bit. The onboard there, the white, blue and red car. It was a little bit of bump drafting here, helping each other. Paul O'Brien in car number 11 and David Hunter trying to close in here on Ivor Greenwood. A little slingshot, is it going to work? Hunter looks at the inside line, keeps it tight, can't quite go through. The back end looked as if it might come round, but Hunter had it all under control. Ryan McLeish is in the mix here as well. This is a cracking race between these 4 cars. McLeish could hold the cards here and maybe pass O'Brien. Immediately in front of him, it's still David Hunter and Ivor Greenwood holding on to second. John Patterson is away and down the road. Patterson having set fastest lap in race number 1. Paul O'Brien was the fastest of the Irish drivers. It took the Irish class win as well. But it was Patterson that had the fastest lap of the race, and he's done so again in this one as we ride on board with Ivor Greenwood in towards the closing stages of our second heat. We'll have the final of day 1 after our break, but Ivor Greenwood looks at the moment, is he going to hang on to second position here in Heat 2 of round 2 of the SMRC Scottish Legends Cars Championship. There's Gerard McCosh. Gerard running in a strong, I think, 6th position for the Scottish Championship. Meanwhile, John Patterson has got a huge lead. It's very nearly 4 seconds for John Patterson, who heads through Peel Corner for the last time to make it a double. 5th start of the year, 3 wins at Knockhill. It looks like he's going to make it a 2nd win out of 2 here at Anglesey. A great view of the paddock and pit complex here, which he will pass now as he comes along the pit straight, does a little wiggle and takes the checkered flag to win the 2nd race of the meeting. John Patterson the winner. Paul O'Brien takes 2nd from David Hunter and Ivor Greenwood. Ryan McLeish next from Steve McGill, Gerald McCosh, Jordan Hodgson next from Michael Paxton, Colin McNeil, Scott Hines in 10th for the Scottish, and then John Bushby and Neville Anderson completing the finishers.